Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. We've all heard about keeping up with the Joneses, right? Your neighbor gets a new lawnmower, so you do too. They get a new car, so you do too. They go out and put together a series of movies that combines characters and plot lines like no one has ever in the history of cinema while also grossing all the money. So, of course, you go out and get another car. One with some spinners from Walmart. This time, we're matching up one of our binkies and quite possibly our favorite punching bag in a little something we're going to call When Cinematic Universes Collide, Marvel v. DC. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who was actually the first choice to play a starring role in the first Aquaman movie, but lost out to Amber Heard when he couldn't quite squeeze into the costume. He has been my partner in Idiocy for over 2 decades and can talk to fish just as long as they're speaking Esperanto. I give you the man they call Tim.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. How are you?
You know, I'm doing all right, all things considered. I'm, as they would say, I'm pretty good for the shape I'm in.
That's good.
You know, and how about yourself, sir? How is life treating the man they call Tim?
Doing very well.
Of course, because you live that first-class lifestyle. Just clean living and flying first class everywhere you go.
I like how you don't hold back on that front.
No, not at all. Even when you're taking the train back from Chicago back to your palatial estate, because you like to travel with the common people, you're still traveling first class with the finest people. Those Cubby fans who are just so happy about a win or commiserating about a loss and just about ready to vomit on you. That was a great story. And I am thinking to myself now, why wouldn't Tim have hired a car? Why would he have not hired a private vehicle to take him back to his palatial estate and not have to deal with the rabble? And then I realized, oh, wait, he was traveling with his family. So, of course, I've got to keep down expenses. The only first class when it's me.
My goodness. I don't know what to say.
Well, you should know better than to give me ammunition before we go on the air.
Well, when you travel with the common people, sometimes there's a little bit of rabble rousing you have to deal with here, there, and everywhere. And over the weekend, my wife and I had to experience a little bit of that. But it's okay. Afterwards, I had a nice New York strip, had a couple bourbons.
Of course, there's a steak involved. Of course, there's a steak. My God. It's so easy. I could have predicted this.
Little blueberry cheesecake to, just make me feel a little bit better about life. It's all good.
I had a bad time on the train, and then there was steak. Like, yes, of course there was steak. Jeez.
Had some deviled eggs, Brussels sprouts. It was wonderful.
My gosh. And your cholesterol's hovering around 1750 right now today.
Not on my diet. That's all good on my diet.
How is your? I think you're cheating on your diet. There's no way you can eat the sheer amount of red meat that you do, along with deviled eggs and the cheesecake and all this, and just say, "Well, I'm not eating the carbs, so therefore the fact that my blood type now is cream cheese has no effect on my life whatsoever." I don't get who is your doctor exactly?
No. Okay, so the one thing
doctor? Is that your doctor?
The one thing that's not on the diet is the cheesecake. That is the bad. Everything else is on it. So the eggs, protein, the meat, the protein, the Brussels sprouts, the veggies are all good there. Deviled eggs and all that's encompassed in that is all good. So yes, sir. I am 95% following the diet with a little bit of 5% of a little bit of blueberry cheesecake there.
little blueberry cheesecake naughtiness, which, you know what? I can appreciate that. You go on with your bad self.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, now that we've sidetracked completely and are off into whatever wilds that we're into at this point, yes, we are going to break down Marvel versus DC because, as we all found out at the beginning of August, much like the Cylons, DC has a plan.
Are you alive?
We're going to get into what that plan is in order to try and make some sort of Herculean comeback against actually a Buffalo Bills-esque comeback against the Houston Oilers back in the day. A Frank Reich special, if you will, and try and somehow I'm going to say, salvage their pride. But as we all know, DC amputated that a long time ago. They're just going to try and make some more money. That's what they're really going to do. However, before we do that, we have to get into a little something called The Week in Geek.
The Week in Geek.
Feels so funky.
What do you got for us this time, sir?
Well, before we get into the meat of it, I just figured I would share a little geeky footnote from my life. The man they call Tim's journeys, his voyages. Across,
hang on a second. Hang on. Are you really going to share this?
Yes, I am.
Because as your friend, I'm just saying, like, this could. Are you really sure that you want to share this?
I think so. I think it will get some good laughs, some guffaws from you.
Okay. Hit me with it.
So I basically, going back a couple months, when we went as a family to DC and I partook in the wonder that is the electric scooter revolution that it, like many large cities, supports. I came back and had the thought, I sometimes commute downtown to downtown Chicago, and thought, what would it look like if I were to, get my own electric scooter? Basically, I live about a mile from a train station, so it would be a very doable ride on that there. They do allow this on the train. You're able to, stow it away in a public area with bicycles and other things. And so I just thought, hey, let's try this, and then I can take the scooter from the train station to my office. And
now I'm surprised that the trains around Chicago, if they let the Countess White Claw on there with their beverage, I'm surprised they don't let you just ride up and down the center aisle, popping wheelies. Hey!
No, I think this conductor would shut that down real quick. The White Claw, not so much, but yeah, I went off and did some research, and after much, I had a particular model I was looking at, and then the Amazon price shot through the roof, and I'm like, well, forget about it. I'm not going to get it. And then I happened, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I happened upon a fantastic sale happening on Amazon for a GoTrax G4. And I went and threw down the money for it, and now am the proud owner of one. But if you ask me, man, they call Tim, how has that commute been? How has it improved? I will have to say that apparently on the trial voyage that I took from home to the train station, either I made a faux pas or maybe there was just an issue in general. But right now, man, they call Tim is on the D, or his scooter is on the DL right now with a flat rear tire, because when I went on my test run, which by the way, 7 minutes from home to the train, so it's beautiful, just right. I decided as I was going to the train station that I'm just going to ride over the tracks as the street portion that the tracks run along. And when I did that, I kind of, there's a obvious bouncing as you go over that, and things were fine. And then I turned around and kind of walked it back across the tracks, and then started back on home to time out what that would look like, again, assuming it would be the 7 minutes. And a little bit into that journey back, all of a sudden I feel from the back, it starts vibrating, and just something's not right. And I get off and I check it, and my rear tire is completely flat. And so I don't know if I didn't check the inflation level, which apparently I read this after the fact, of course, that you really should check your inflation levels every day and make sure those tires are pumped up to the fullest. So, I am now about to perform some surgery on this scooter, popping the rear tire off, getting the tube out, and doing either a patch job or some sort of tube replacement to get once again back on the road and actually execute this plan for real. So that is just a little bit of geekiness on my part, trying to do a little bit to not have to drive the car to the train station, save the environment a little bit, go electric a little bit here, and just completely blew up in my face. At least it was on a test run. At least I had the wherewithal to do a test run. So that is just a little bit, little slice from the man they call Tim's life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know that the man they call Tim is a grown-ass man who has a wife, like a very, very understanding wife, a wife who, quite honestly, should be given sainthood early, immediately, in fact, and two wonderful, wonderful children.
Thank you.
And this grown-ass man is riding a scooter.
I am. I'm wearing a bike helmet too.
Now, I just want to pause for a moment and let all that sink in. This man's got a good job too. I mean, don't get me. I mean, we say we're idiots. That is like 90% me and 10% Tim. Like Tim is a bright fellow with a great career, accolades and a resume that basically puts mine in
come on
deep
now,
shadow.
Sir. Come on now, sir.
And this grown ass man is riding a scooter.
That's right.
Because apparently he didn't, and then see. Here's the thing:
you're
bragging
18 miles an hour. By the way,
you're bragging about getting it on sale. I could have saved you even more money.
Yes, sir.
All you need is a couple clothespins and some baseball cards. You put them in the back spokes of your bike and go vroom 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 as you're going back and forth to the train station. You already have a bike.
I know, but I don't want to bring it on the train.
And are you planning on riding this winter?
I'm not. That's the sad part. Is probably by the time I get this rear tire debacle settled, it's probably going to get too cold and it will start snowing soon. So.
What, you don't have any studded tires for that bad boy?
No, that's for next Christmas.
Maybe a plow on the front.
That's a great idea, though.
Make a little extra cash for yourself.
Although I got to tell you, it was really funny. There is a hill, a slight hill that I have to go up as part of this trip, and when I went up the hill, so I'm basically wearing my backpack with my laptop.
You see the battery indicator going down.
Well,
very quickly.
I go from 18 miles an hour down to 8 miles an hour. And I mean, this is not, I mean, it's not
people are walking past you at this point.
Basically, it's like kind of like, and then
an old lady with a walker who's speeding past you.
It's like, what's the matter with the youth of today?
Giving you side eye.
Yeah.
My generation stormed the beach at Normandy, and you are on a scooter.
That's
right. A grown-ass man.
I sent Uncle Todd a picture of this, and I think your response was somewhere in the realm of, really?
Yeah,
you
pretty
kidding
much.
Me?
I thought it was a joke. I really did. And then when it turned out it was real, I became incredibly sad.
Yes.
But hey, whatever makes you happy. I'm not here to yuck your yum. Just to say you're a grown-ass man with a good job. Act like you have some sort of...
I will report back on the actual maiden voyage when I do this for the first time. I'll let the peoples know how successful it was.
I can't wait. I can't wait until we have to reset the days out of the hospital because you got clipped by a moped. That's going to be fantastic. Like I got into a head-on collision with a Vespa,
I was going to say, so once we get over the flat tire thing and we get stability in the inflation department, there is the issue of now they have bike lanes downtown, so that's what I was going to be riding in because that's where scooters are supposed to go along with bicycles. But there is the issue of dealing with the general Chicago driver. So I am bracing for impact on that front, and we will come back with a report on how that all went.
Do you have a helmet?
I do have a helmet.
Now, please at least tell me that you at least went way over the top and you got like a football helmet with a full face mask and everything, so you can at least
no face mask.
See, you missed an opportunity. Missed an opportunity. I'm just saying. All right, what's up next, sir?
Enough about my electric scootering. Well, over the course of it's been a couple of weeks since we were on the air, so to speak, and during that time, we had actually a couple trailers that came out that we'll talk about today. But the first one, most importantly, I shouldn't say most importantly, but most interestingly, is Mandalorian Season 3. Remember the Mandalorian? Now, he did appear in the Book of Boba Fett. We did get a smidgen, a taste of the Mando. But it's been, I believe, December of 2020, I think, was when the big Luke Skywalker finale aired.
I believe you are correct, sir.
So it has been, ladies and gentlemen, this December, it will have been 2 years.
It's been a hot minute
since we've had some.
That doesn't sound right.
Original Mando content.
I can't spell Mandalorian tonight.
Uncle Todd always sleuthing it out. Well, anyways, we are going to do as we are wont to do on this show.
You are correct as usual. December 18th, 2020 was the Season 2 finale.
Bingo. We are going to watch and in real time comment on the Season 3 teaser trailer for The Mandalorian and give a little bit of a hot take.
Go to the show notes, click on that. Doesn't appear there's any ads because, I mean, let's face it, Star Wars doesn't need the money.
It sells itself.
Pretty much. So we're all at all zeros here, and we're going to press play. So if you'd like to watch along, feel free. And are you ready, sir?
I'm ready, sir.
All right. Counting down in 3, 2, 1, go.
Action.
Calling back to Season 1 here.
Who would have thought the child and Mando would be the pairing of the 2020s?
Yeah. I never would have called it. It is like the best buddy film that's been around.
Absolutely. It is kind of funny when she says, "But you removed your helmet."
Yeah.
Shame.
That felt like it was a different reading. Like I felt like that was another take because I don't remember the tone being the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bo.
I really am not liking him having a Naboo starfighter.
Yeah, it is kind of lame.
I miss the Razor Crest. I really do.
Yeah.
Bo-Katan, not a happy camper right now. Where were you then? That shot of all the Mandos airdropping is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. The funny thing is I just watched Edge of Tomorrow, and that was like that drop sequence is kind of similar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's that little
Babu Frick.
That frickin' guy.
Yeah, we got to get him a Razor Crest like ship moving forward here. Very nice.
Yeah, there is nothing that I dislike about that.
No, the one thing.
Well, actually, no. There is one minor thing. I'm not excited to see Babu Frick. I know that you are. I'm not. That little frickin' thing can go right away.
Hey!
Oh gosh. It's like, hey, if you thought Jar Jar was bad, look at this. Oh jeez.
So one thing I'm a little disappointed by.
Yes. What?
One thing. We didn't get a peek. Stevie didn't get a peek for our Star Wars debut of Marty Christopher Lloyd.
Well, they got to save something. I mean,
I know, but come on now. I wanted to see a little bit of Doc Brown and all of his wild-eyed Reverend Jim craziness. I feel he's got one. He's got one more home run left in him. You know what I mean?
What does
1.21 gigawatts?
Yellow light?
Oh
One of the
gosh.
funniest bits in TV history was that.
Yep.
Oh, that's so good.
Yep.
Taxi reference for anyone who's wondering. It was approximately 1,000 years ago. So go back and look in the Dead Sea Scrolls and you'll find it.
But it looks like we're going to Mandalore, ladies and gentlemen. And
yeah,
as we saw in Book of Boba, he has to make amends for the shameful display of showing his face. Apparently.
Well, I mean that is the sect that he's part of, and so now he also has to deal with the fact that, hey, Bo wants the Darksaber, and it can't be as simple as just handing it over. So you got tension there. You got there's so much tension they built up over this, and I'm so excited for all of it. I'm so in on this. I couldn't be any more in.
Like, we're bringing back the real and the jabroni for this when it debuts, by the way.
Oh yeah, I think we have to. Because there's gonna be a lot to choose from. Because that's the thing with anyone who's wondering, real or jabroni. We haven't done it in a while because with a lot of these,
shows where we did like 5 in a row. I feel.
Well, that was part of. We burned ourselves and the audience out.
Last December was a real and jabroni month, I think.
Oh yeah, it was the Christmas of real or jabroni. Somewhere the sheik is looking for his royalties, so I've been ducking him ever since. Because, I don't want to be put in the camel clutch, and because you know what comes after that. And it makes you humble, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot that could happen with this. This could go in a lot of different directions, and I like how we get a lot of glimpses, but we don't get a lot of a lot of like setup, really, or not direct setup. There's a lot of pieces put on the board, but I don't feel like they're actually in any kind of shape yet. It's like we just kind of like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff. Like, whoa, cool, I want it now. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm so in.
I did hear an interesting. I was listening to the Scruffy Looking Podcasters the other day, and I forget which one of them brought this up. But one thought about that scene when we see the airdrop from above of all the Mandalorians was, is that actually kind of a callback to when they rescued him as a kid? Because if you remember, when he was a kid, he was hidden by his parents. Parents, I believe, were killed. And then there was a whole like army of Mandalorians that were, that took him in, and that's how he became part of that enclave. So I thought that was kind of interesting that it could be like more of a callback than, because when they airdrop in, there seems to be a lot of life and activity wherever they're dropping into, and Mandalore does not strike me as or should not really be a very living sort of thing. It's gone through as I think, as we saw in I think it was it the Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett where we saw the attack on Mandalore?
I think it was Mandalorian.
Okay. But we saw the attack, or at least, some part of the attack on Mandalore that really ended up wiping them out. And so anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. So to your point, we may not have really been seen or shown that much because of the fact that, some of it may be kind of callbacks to the past. So I thought that was interesting.
No, I'm loving it. I am loving it.
All right.
More Bo-Katan is Mo happy for me.
And I love the line where she's like, "You thought he was the only Mandalorian?"
Yeah. Oh,
poor Grogu. He's learning so much so quickly.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Katie Sackhoff is not in a mood to spare his feelings.
No, not at all. Starbuck, she does not mince words.
She don't pull punches. No,
does not mince words. All right. Our next item is another trailer, which we will do the old live commentary to. And this one came by way of Uncle Todd this morning with a simple 4-letter text. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw it pop up on the YouTubes, no warning, and just they decided, you know what? Today we're dropping the Wakanda Forever trailer. Boom.
I just
okay.
I wonder how much Ron Simmons charges to have him come on and do that.
You know what? Ron can come on the show any old time. I don't care. Oh man.
No fee is too high.
Oh no. Damn.
We'll send Patrick to pull some funds out.
Yeah. No, I don't actually that might not be a good idea. Even as up there in years as Ron's getting, he'll probably still try and throw a shoulder tackle at Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Ron doesn't strike me as one who suffers fools gladly. You know what I mean?
Although I figure Patrick will probably take the funds and stop at the local McDonald's and have himself a feast. So
probably. I mean, we don't have that much funds anyway, so
no, we don't.
Wouldn't take much to to get those out the door. But yeah, Wakanda Forever trailer dropped today as we're recording this, August 3rd, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it has this, and this was this morning. As of right now at 8:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it has 7.3 million views.
Jeez.
And that's got to be in just under 12 hours.
People are just a little excited for this.
Yeah, almost 550,000 likes on this sucker. And the only thing that's surprising is that there aren't more, quite honestly. Or they're just like me, and I always just sit there and drool over stuff and forget to like it because it's just not, I just did, so I threw them a like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. So let's do the watchy watch on this and just kind of geek out over this. Do you have it loaded up, sir?
I do.
All right. As again, it's in the show notes. We're at the 000. And here we go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Hit and play.
Oh, the mask right out front. Gosh. I didn't intend to cry today, but okay.
So much for the this is in the past because of the snap. Nope, I don't think so.
No. I mean, they're giving that to you right out front. Although, who's this dude? Oh, okay, that's the Namor. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
The ears threw me. I was like, Spock? Gosh, that's a great Chadwick Boseman friggin'
that is
mural.
That is. I'm curious the story of the Submariners, though.
Yeah.
And this whole thing with the helipad and the army and stuff, like I'm curious what that's all about.
Yeah.
I found this interesting what he says. The Kukulkan, the feather serpent god. Yeah, I'm wondering if whatever people that Namor's leading, how they kind of fit into the whole MCU and where have they been. Yeah, we may have a clue. It's kind of crazy how they like jump through the air like that. I don't know what to make of that. That looks like Iron Man-ish.
No, that is Ironheart, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Nice. Nice.
And boom.
And there is a new Black Panther, ladies and gentlemen, or the next Black Panther, should we say. Oh, phenomenal. Get
Good
tickets now. Darn tootin'.
Mama. Oh, all the feels. Yeah. So my my daughter. Oh, dude. My daughter came to me, came home from school today, and I was, doing painting because that's all I do in my life now is I'm painting windows and trim and walls. That is my life when I'm not here at HQ. And she was so excited because she'd seen this, and she says, "We're getting Riri." She is so pumped for Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, and I gotta say, I am too. Like, I am excited. I am so excited. The fact that we're getting like two of the smartest individuals in the Marvel universe in this movie, in Shuri and Riri. And oh man, that Iron Man suit, or Iron Heart suit, excuse me, Iron Man like suit looks badass.
Yeah,
just looks badass. It kind of makes me wonder what if the origin is going to be a little bit different. I would imagine it would be, because originally, I guess in the comics, Riri is an MIT student, very young entry to MIT, much like Tony Stark. Like, it's very parallel to Tony Stark, like going to MIT early, and builds her own Iron Man armor in her dorm room at MIT.
Oh, wow.
And of course, that's Tony Stark's alma mater, so the whole thing. And then she ends up meeting Tony Stark, and then the AI for her suit is Tony Stark's voice. So obviously, we're not going to follow that path here. So I wonder if maybe somewhat of this is going to intersect more directly with Wakanda, or are we just, kind of parallel, and then there's an eventual team up? I don't know. That'll be very interesting, but I am super excited. For that. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, the whole thing is just looks fantastic. I can't wait to see how they say goodbye. Well, I mean, I say that I can't wait to see how they treat the tying up of the T'Challa character.
Yeah.
I'm not anxious for it, because I mean, who is really? But I think it'll be done very well if it's anything like Ryan Coogler has done, or has been even vaguely associated with.
Oh yeah.
So I've got some confidence in that. But yeah, this just looks freaking awesome, dude.
Oh my goodness. And what's interesting too is the like I was saying, just I'm curious what the backstory of Namor and his people is going to be, because like anything else, when you start to introduce these like villains or these antagonists, there's been so much that has gone on in the MCU up to this point. So the natural question is, well, where have they been all this time? You know what I mean? Like, why now? And so I'm curious how they kind of speak to that. And so the intro, like what was interesting was when we watched it just now, I think there was like a real like split second shot of Riri in that Iron Man, that shot they would always do of Tony in the helmet.
Yeah.
And it was very quick, but I happened to catch it this time around as opposed to before. And so, I think this is really interesting. It was interesting to read too, like, some fan opinion about whether they should be continuing with Black Panther or not. And what I find kind of interesting with it is, unlike, with other superheroes from this universe, is that there is kind of a natural, like with Black Panther, there is a transition, of this mantle that is actually, been set in precedent. It's not like this is a new thing to hand it off to someone else. I think the fact that it's, rumored to be, and most likely is going to be Shuri, may be cause for there to be some shifting in whatever that process is. But, as we saw in the first Black Panther, or I think it was even in Civil War, that it is a mantle that gets passed from one generation to the next. And so, so I don't really have an issue with the fact they're doing this. I think, if anything, all the principals involved are going to want to do right by, the character of T'Challa and to honor, Chadwick Boseman as best they can, and then move the story and the character forward. And so, I think this looks to be a phenomenal movie. Interestingly enough, we just talked about Real and Jabroni. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I don't really know or see that there's a lot, kind of similar to Thor and maybe the last couple, phase 4 outings. Like, I just don't feel like we're in that zone for a lot of rumors. You know what I mean? Like it's not that there isn't anything interesting that's going to happen in this movie, but it's like, I don't know that there's anything rumor worthy that I, me personally really wants to explore or get into. It just feels like, let's just see what the story is. It may just be a self-contained thing about this evolution and transition into, Shuri being the Black Panther, and let it be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that the cottage industry that has kind of grown up around the MCU in terms of like picking through all this stuff and reporting what's going on and really giving the bird's eye and also the worm's eye view of everything that's going on has sucked a little bit of the rumor mill out. But I think also because a lot of these stories are a little bit more straight ahead.
Yeah.
And and I'm fine with that. Like I as much as I love to monger a good rumor, I also just love to go in and be kind of surprised by stuff. So I'm all for it. I think it's interesting that you mention, where have they been so far? Apparently, Submariner was supposed to make a somewhat of an appearance at the end of the first Black Panther movie. And it was going to be a post-credit scene where there was these watery footsteps leading up to the throne in Wakanda.
Oh, interesting.
And that was supposed to be, setting up Submariner, but it was not to be.
Oh, well. Yeah.
All in, we only have just over a month to wait on that one. Although it's kind of odd that they don't have the rating for it yet. That to me says that they must have just kind of finished up work on this thing not that long ago. Because 37 days till release, and we don't have a rating. Kind of seems a little odd. Usually that's like stuff when you get a trailer like 3 months before, not so much like a month before. But yeah, I might just be wrong on that.
Interesting.
Oh, well.
Well, we opened the Week in Geek with a personal story from the man they call Tim. We're going to close the Week in Geek with a personal story from Uncle Todd. What, sir, is your journey, your voyage, if you will, into the realm of geekiness, sir?
Well, it's more just the misery of moving. And we managed to move into our new house, got, a few things unpacked, and we've been gradually kind of putting things away, but still in the midst of a freaking list of to-do projects that I just have not seen the end of yet. So I've been trying to find little bits and pieces of comfort along the way. We got our living room set up, kind of got everything so that we can relax a little bit and have, our bedroom is set up. So we kind of have a couple of areas that we can go to where there's not boxes everywhere. Now there's boxes in every other damn room, but at least we've got those two areas. And then over this past weekend, I finally managed to get the bathroom into a somewhat stable state, which was kind of nice to not have to move 18 things in order to find your toothbrush. That was aggravating. Yeah. However, in setting up my audio visual entertainment items, got the DVD player set up, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you want to call it, and the TV set up. Got my Apple TV set up. Went looking for remotes. Found the TV remote, the Blu-ray remote. Where the hell is the Apple TV remote?
Oh dear.
Couldn't find it. Could not find it, to the point where the man they call Tim texted me the other day and says, "Hey, have you watched any of Andor?" I'm like, "No, I haven't actually, because I can't find my Apple TV remote, and I'm kind of pissed about the whole thing." And as he said, I could tell the tone that you would have said this in if we were actually talking on the phone. I'm like, yes, and you're correct. And mostly because I was mad at myself because, of course, the Apple TV remote is like the smallest of all remotes. It's a pygmy remote, if you will, a teacup remote of sorts, where and like totally and utterly like just. It's like the stealth remote. Like if you don't know where it is, you're not going to find it because it doesn't stand out at all. It's sleek. It's almost like coated in radar absorbing material and Teflon. And so you can't find the damn thing. So then I'm digging through all these boxes and knowing that there is, unless I stumble across it, there's almost no chance of me just stumbling across this thing, because if it's hidden in a box somewhere, it'll be impossible to find because it's approximately 1.25 inches in diameter. It's like one of those old freaking, the little iPod Nanos, one of those things. So was upset about that. Finally tracked it down. And the credit for this completely goes to my wife, who, as I've said many times, much smarter than I am. And she suggested where it was. Finally went down to our cellar where I'd had furniture stored up, open this one drawer, boom, there it is. Go upstairs, all is right in the world. And all of this is to say that why in the hell do we have to make Apple remotes this friggin' small? And why is it that they're coated in like something that's even like more slippery than Teflon? Like, why is that a thing? Why is it that when I go to pick up my Apple TV remote, I damn near fling it across the room if you have any kind of moisture on your hands? Like you just pick it up, it's like, jeez, where the hell did it go? And meanwhile, the cat's going, "Meow," and you go, oh, sorry. Sorry, Fluffy.
Does it defy physics? Is that one of those things? It's like a perpetual motion machine sort of thing.
Like, you know, when the Nintendo Wii came out and they had to get the little wrist straps for the thing because people would be playing with it and the remotes would fly out of their hands.
Ah, yes.
They ought to have one of those for the Apple TV remote. They ought to have a little wrist lanyard so that you don't go, because the number of times I've gone to pick it up. I'm not in a hurry. I'm reaching down nice and easy, and I go to pick it up, and the thing slides out of my hand, and it seems to accelerate from 0 to the speed of sound within a quarter second, and is across the room. I'm like, the hell? You know, I mean, oh my God. And then you got to go find the thing, which if there's, you know, if you're just getting ready to watch a movie, you know, you've got lights down a little bit. Now you got to turn all the lights on because you got to find the stupid thing. Oh my gosh. And then you know how much it is to replace one of these things?
How much?
$55.
Oh boy.
For the smallest of all device remotes. $55.
Jeez.
For the privilege of having something that just flies out of your hand and just bounces around the room like it's made out of flubber or something. Anyways, wow. I found my Apple TV remote.
So you
Cheers. I did. I done did.
Did you watch Andor?
I haven't. My daughter is in like all honors classes, so she's been doing homework. And so I have not managed to watch any of it. I think I'm going to stay up late one of these nights and like watch all of it and just not tell her. And then I'll rewatch it with her and act surprised. That's my plan right now because I didn't
see that coming. That droid coming around the corner.
I am dying to watch that. And I've got like, as of right now, I think I've got 2 episodes of She-Hulk and 4 episodes of Andor to catch up on. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's piling up.
Slacker.
I know. Well, go ahead, call me slacker. Have you watched Miss Marvel yet?
So, anyways, what are we talking about?
Have you watched She-Hulk yet?
Marvel versus DC, I believe, is the topic.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how Tim finishes the Week in Geek, slithering out the back door.
And that, my friends, is the Week in Geek. Thank you, Uncle Todd, for that wonderful story.
All right. Well, I'll let it slide this time. So we're going to talk about Marvel versus DC, the cinematic universe clash of the titans, clash of a titan and, a dwarf with a broken sword. So let's just kind of frame this in a little tale of the tape fashion here. Marvel, their cinematic universe has been 29 movies, over 2 dozen movies to date. The next movie up is, of course, Wakanda Forever, coming up on November 11th. DC, the extended universe, because, of course, they had their TV universe, which was completely separate, so they had to come up with something else. Now it's the DC extended universe, which is lame, is 11 movies, beginning with Man of Steel, officially, and Marvel's, of course, began with Iron Man, just for the record. And their next movie up is Black Adam, which is premiering at the end of October 21st. Marvel, the MCU, has grossed $27.4 billion worldwide. That is billion with a B. DC has grossed a little bit less, $5.8 billion worldwide.
22 off the pace.
Now, of course, keep that in mind. That's less movies. That's less than half. It's almost a third of what Marvel has put out. So let's not hold that against them. Let's go down to let's break this down to an average, okay? And now maybe we'll get a little bit closer there. So Marvel's per movie average is $944 million per movie, the highest gross they have had on a single movie. Of course, Avengers Endgame, which was $2.798 billion worldwide.
That's crazy.
DC... Well, their average is $527 million per movie, just about half. And their highest grossing movie was Aquaman, which grossed $1.5 billion. Again, about just about half of what Endgame grossed. So,
which surprises me because I thought Wonder Woman was the highest performing of the ones they put out. Interesting.
No, a lot of people they wanted to see them some Jason Momoa, some wet Jason Momoa. That's what they wanted.
Khal Droga is what they wanted to see.
Okay, well, whoever that
Game
is,
of
that from your
Thrones.
dragon show? Okay, yeah, that's from your Dungeons and Dragons show there. Okay,
come on. Now.
So what's been of course all of this coming about because the new head of Warner, the CEO now, Warner Brothers Discovery, pardon me. And what's this chucklehead's name? Let me look it up here.
The chucklehead is David Zaslav.
Yes, sounds like a villain already. So, Davey Boy here came out and said,
"Mr. Bond,
got a plan. We got a plan. It's a 10-year plan." And it's interesting because there was this old story of I forget the actual maybe it was, I can't remember. It was a general manager for the New England Patriots way back in the 70s, early 80s.
Back
when they were when they were the doormat. And the GM comes in and he's talking about he had just fired the coach and he says, "I've just fired the head coach. We're going to have, we're now going to be making good decisions. We're going to be moving forward. This is a new era of stability, and we're going to be moving forward and making great progress." And then like a week and a half later, Billy Sullivan, the owner of the Patriots, meets with the team and says, "I've just fired the general manager. We're going to be changing things up. It's going to be a new era of stability, and we're moving forward, making progress." And it's like, last boss, same as the old, new boss, same as the old boss, same sort of thing. So
progress is his middle name.
Yeah. So the funny thing in here is that it almost implies that there wasn't a plan up until now, but there has been, and then we've heard several times about different plans. And what I think is very interesting, and you pointed this out before we started this, because I said, "Hey, man, they call Tim. Do you want to explain what their 10-year plan is?" And you said,
if I'm reading the article right, it's an announcement that they have a 10-year plan, but they don't really talk about any details of the plan itself. It's just, we have one. It's kind of like,
exactly.
It's kind of like the guy it's the episode of The Simpsons way back in the day when the guy comes to Springfield and says, "You need a monorail." But
yes.
well, why do we need a monorail? I don't know. Every town has a monorail.
Oh my gosh, it is. It is a cinematic universe monorail. Which actually we need to come up with something different because that abbreviation is not going to be good. So let's It's the universe. It's the universe cinematic monorail.
Oh.
Yes, UCM. That'll work.
Oh goodness.
Oh my gosh,
monorail.
Stumbled right into that one. Anyways,
oh boy.
So yeah, there is a plan. They're just not sharing what that is. And what's really interesting to me is basically the plan seems to be like this. We're going to focus on our top properties, and we're going to make the movies that we've already made and are kind of in progress of making, and then maybe we'll sequelize the ones that are popular. I'm like, that's the plan? You guys are in worse shape than I thought. Like that's just business 101. Like, holy crap. If this is the level we're at, how come I didn't get a call to be head of Warner Brothers Discovery? I could have done this.
Is Zaslav here? Is he like a descendant of John Madden here? Because it seems to be that level of thinking. It's like, you see, Pat, we're going to take our big stars.
No. See, the thing is, don't besmirch the good name of John Madden in tying it with this chucklehead. Don't tie him up with Davy Boy, okay? No.
All
this
right,
is
John.
This is more like me and you playing Madden after a couple of Mickey's Fine Malt liquors.
Okay,
that's the level of this thinking.
Yeah.
No. Madden is like Einstein compared to Davy Boy.
All right.
All right. So it's very interesting. They canceled one movie, and not just canceled it, like absolutely trash canned it in post. Like the money was spent. And that was
weird. That was weird.
And what it kind of comes down to, what everyone has basically said, or at least from what I've picked up on it, is that it's a write-off. And movies, and the thing is, studios have done this since the day before forever. A movie is was greenlit and was under the guidance of the previous head of the studio, and that guy gets fired, and the next guy comes in, and that movie is about ready to be released, and they just bury it. They release it, but they bury it. They put it on like 20 screens and go, it sucks. Never mind.
Yeah.
And just write it off, because Hollywood accounting is already so shady.
Can I throw something in real quick?
One more thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is a total just being on brand and completely off perpendicular from where you are right now. But when you said write off, I'll send you the link for it. But if anyone is a fan of Schitt's Creek, and
I've heard that. Yeah.
Okay. So you've seen the clip about the write off?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, Eugene Levy at his finest, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say that. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt just on that part, but when you said write off, it just went right to that scene, and I'm and I crack up every time because Eugene Levy, finest.
Yeah. But I mean, Batgirl got canceled, and it was never supposed to be. And the reason they said, "Oh well, it's not big. We don't feel it's big enough to be a theatrical release, and it's not profitable to stand up on the stream." What do you mean it's not profitable? You've already spent all the money on it. Like, you shot it, you've edited it. It's in post. It's like 90% of the money at this point, I have to imagine, has been spent.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you spent money on Michael Keaton coming back. Michael Keaton had scenes in this movie.
Jeez.
And they're just like, nope, and no one will ever see it. Not like, we're just going to finish it and put it on HBO Max, which was the plan anyways. Just, nope, it's going in the vault. Wow.
Awful.
Okay.
Just awful.
I hope that's one hell of a write-off. I guess, but it seems to me like you need stuff to play with here. Why not? But you're desperately looking for something that people can feel good about, and you're not. I don't get that one. But so right now, currently in the hopper, DC has Black Adam coming out October 21st. Then we get Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Shazam 2 coming out in December 21st this year.
I can't take that title seriously.
Yeah, I never watched the first Shazam. It did not do anything to make me want to.
But I think this is the problem with DC. It's like, it's hard for me to take a title that's Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Just doesn't go together.
Well, the thing is, like, it's a character name, and I get it. Like, that's the thing, but I never had any. And that's part of the problem. Like, I've just not had much of an inkling to watch many of the DC movies, either because of marketing, because of the shady special effects, the fact they gave away the entire movie in the trailer, whatever it is. But they just have not managed to pull me in. And I'm a dude I love me a popcorn movie. I love me some comic book movies, but not getting me here. Then after that, we have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and right here is where we enter into the movies with troubled stars section of their schedule. It's rather interesting. So Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom will be coming out in March 17th of 2023, with or without Amber Heard. At this point, who knows how much her part has been pared down at that point. And then supposedly The Flash is still on, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
For June of 2023. I don't know.
Can I jump in for a minute?
I'm not sure what Ezra Miller has to do at this point for that movie to get shelved, whether it's, he has to hijack a plane to Cuba, basically appear on Jimmy Fallon naked. I don't know. I'm not really sure what it is.
How much more of an insult, though, to the poor, and I hate to say it this way, but the gal who is the actress, the lead for Batgirl, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much more of a slap in the face is it when you have the Flash still going on?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
This
guy has turned into a complete, just off the rocker sort of situation, and I can't make heads or tails of it. I really don't understand it. I feel like they've done. They made an awful choice in nixing that movie and did themselves more damage that way long term than if they had just put it out, let it, if it bombed, it bombed. But if it did, if it was middling,
it wouldn't even bomb, dude. It was going to be on streaming.
Yeah.
I mean, and because very few people even share, or very few companies actually share statistics, no one's going to know. Like,
Right.
what is the harm? Again, you're just looking for stuff that might make people feel good about your product overall. Anything that will make people feel good. Like, you have just exhausted all of your capital on this, and you just shelve that, but yet you're going to keep the Flash. And they've already, in all the articles I've seen, they've basically said, like, there is no way after this movie that Ezra Miller is coming back as the Flash. Like, it's going to be recast after this.
Seems like they canceled the wrong movie.
Well, the problem is they've sunk so much movie, and they were going to use this movie as a pivot point to launch into, like, this whole Flashpoint storyline. They were going to use this as a way to flesh out their, the universe. And the problem is, like, man, you hitched your wagon to the wrong cat here.
Yep.
That's a bad idea. Like, I don't know who did any kind of due diligence on this guy beforehand. Maybe he just lost his marbles and became this person over the last couple of years, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I kind of tend to think this guy might have exhibited some signs of this before.
Right.
But hey, we're already making mistakes left, right, and center. What's another one?
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, The Flash, June 2023, unless, I don't know, maybe Ezra Miller decides to, do a billboard campaign in favor of cocaine. I don't know what would, I'm not sure. Like, cocaine, it's good for you, Ezra Miller. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure at this point what you could do.
What level of crazy that he can go to.
Yeah.
Goodness.
And then we have Blue Beetle, which I know nothing about, coming out in August 23.
I got no idea what that is. I mean, I know what the Tick is, but I have no idea what Blue Beetle is.
Yeah, me neither. And I mean, hey, whatever at this point. Joker 2, whatever this is, Folie à Deux, is coming out in October of 2024. And then What May Be. These are the ones that are being hinted at. Man of Steel 2, Wonder Woman 3, Aquaman 3, Joker 3, with a Harley Quinn Lady Gaga spinoff. Of course, that's all like, well, maybe we'll do these. Like, oh, gee, go figure. You're going to see, if your Aquaman 2 doesn't bomb, you're going to make another one of those. Wow. Shocker. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to do something with 2 of your bigger characters that you have. Wow. I can't believe that you would do that. So it's very interesting what their supposed plan is thus far. Did you happen to catch in any of the stuff that you read if they have themselves a person to ride herd over all this, or is this going to be Davey Boy himself pulling the strings here?
My understanding is Davey Boy.
Oh, that'll end well. That'll be good.
And I'm not talking about Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. Not the British Bulldogs, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, that roided up freak would have had better luck at this than this Davey Z. I'm telling you. At least he would have understood entertainment.
Well,
and he brings a dog to the table. I mean, what else? I mean, who doesn't love a dog? Who doesn't love a dog?
Here's my issue with the plan, though. I mean, it's like, what we're kind of in uncharted territory because, it's not like they're starting from scratch. You know what I mean? Like it's not like there's been a period of time where there's been inactivity.
The thing is, they aren't starting from scratch, and yet they are, which is kind of how they've treated this thing from the get-go. Like they're kind of starting from scratch, but no, they can't make up the damn mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And the problem I have, and I say this knowing that we're in the multiverse era of Marvel, where there could be multiple versions of Doctor Strange or multiple versions of Ant-Man or whatever. But, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong for saying this because maybe this is where they need to start off, but it's like, I think part of their problem is they just don't have an anchor. You know what I mean? Like they don't have a central point that is kind of the heart and soul of the franchise. And I think that is something that, whether it was by luck or by design, Marvel ended up with in Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, to drive what was the first, 3 phases. They haven't had that knock it out of the park kind of like Man of Steel, which was Superman, 1 essentially for what is, Superman now.
Well,
did well,
it was
but
kind of like Superman 1 and 2 because you got the Zod thing in there too. But no, I totally get where you're going.
But none of these movies have been like groundbreaking, and
No.
not that watching back Iron Man now, it has a vibe to it, and it has a certain connection for me that I'll always have, when I watch it and that sort of thing. But but when it came out, it was just so different, and it was so stylistic, and it was so, what people weren't expecting for a essentially what was a B level, superhero. And it just kind of really, just opened everyone's eyes. And a lot of it is attributed, has to be attributed to Robert Downey Jr. and what he brought to the character and how he made that character his own, and just became kind of that heart and soul of the franchise. And with DC, I think right now they just have an identity crisis. They don't know who their central like anchor points are, and they don't consistently tell strong stories. And so, you have a great Aquaman or you have a great Wonder Woman, but then you get Wonder Woman 2, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you get you have Batman, and then you go into Batman v Superman. And I have to be careful, and we all have to be careful, because for as much garbage as I read about, or criticism as I read about that movie, at least it was something different they were trying to do. You know what I mean? Like that, I tip my hat to them for trying something, because, and that's what I've always been about, when we've talked about Last Jedi and some of these other movies that have gotten a lot of flack from the fan base. Have I watched Batman v Superman? No, I haven't. And is it a quality story? I couldn't tell you because I haven't seen it, but I get the sense it may not be the highest of quality. But they tried something different, at least. They took a situation of two superheroes. I mean, Batman v Superman is really kind of like is what Civil War was for Marvel, right? It was Captain America versus Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And they did their own thing with it. The problem is, and I don't know if they're like, it's great to say you have a 10-year plan, but I don't know if they're going to go this route, is that they haven't shown that they can tell a multi-layered story that can get people invested in these characters so that you care about things like Batman v Superman.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem, is like, they haven't shown, or they have yet to put forth a movie like that. Like, 30 minutes ago, you and I are, and yeah, I think it was 30 minutes ago, you and I were geeking out about Black Panther. Why is that? Right? Because we saw the first Black Panther, and it was this deep movie that wasn't just about the superhero, but it was about a lot of things around the superhero, around, themes of race and themes of
family,
of family,
lineage,
and tradition and things like that. And it just brought a lot of these things together, and things we can all relate to. And they don't do that for some reason in DC. Either it's a writing issue, or it's a directing issue, or a production issue.
No. It's top. So here's my big problem with the 10-year plan. They haven't exhibited the fact that they can get through a 1-year plan.
Well, fair enough.
Everything that they do is trying to microwave what Marvel has done.
Right.
The reason why the characters aren't compelling is because they're rushing to get there. They're not taking the time to actually build the character. They're just expecting, it's Superman, you're going to care. It's Batman, you're going to care. It's Wonder Woman, you're going to care. No, I don't actually. I don't have to care about them, because you haven't taken the time to actually give me a reason to actually care about this character as a person, as an entity, aside from, the superhero, which is fine. Like, you're not, you have to care a little bit about the alter identity. And that's what Marvel has done. The reason why Black Panther worked well is you already seen Black Panther. You got a little bit of Black Panther in Civil War. And even in that, they gave him enough action, enough screen time for you to start caring about the character. You started learning about who that character is, and you started to understand what was important to that character. Batman v Superman was not a good movie. it's a great idea. And
Right,
it was
right.
and apparently, I was always more of a Marvel kid collecting comics, but apparently in DC, like that run of that series or that book, I can't remember if it was a graphic novel or if it was a series of books or whatever, but apparently that storyline in the books was great. Now the problem is, in the way that DC does everything, they wanted it now because they are a bunch of Veruca salts over there. They want it and they want it now. Daddy, get it for me now.
Right.
I don't want to wait. I want to have my Avengers now. And the problem is, you're introducing a new Batman. That is the first DCEU appearance of Batman. That's the thing. Like, you had not introduced Batman up until that point. Christopher Nolan Batmans didn't exist because, well, quite frankly, DC and Warner Brothers are stupid. Period. The end. They are stupid. Unless there was something legally binding where they could not tie to that they had given Nolan their word and it was in writing and like written down in blood somewhere, they are absolutely moronic that they did not tie into what was an incredibly and fan and critically acclaimed series and made all the money.
Yeah.
And they didn't tie into it. Even if you're going to tangentially, or even if you recast it, or you try and tie no, we're starting over completely. Okay, great idea. Yeah. Okay. So you're not going to have it. You have one standalone Superman movie. So at least you get an idea of who Superman is. And I think Man of Steel was a perfectly good Superman movie. It was probably better than Superman Returns, definitely better than Superman 4. It was right up there with, probably Superman 2, Superman 3. It's not the first one because you just can't, that was the first Superman that you just can't beat that. You don't have Batman. So you're trying to introduce Batman. So you're setting up one of those characters in that movie. You're still learning about Superman. And you throw him into it should have been 2 movies. But they wanted it now.
Right.
And the same with Justice League. They wanted to go right to Justice League. Marvel waited several movies to set up Avengers. They couldn't wait. And as a result, you kind of got you got an intro for Superman, of course, and then you got an intro for Wonder Woman. You got a half-assed intro for Batman in Batman v Superman, and then you got half-assed intros for the Flash and for Cyborg because they just got short shrift because they got tossed in, and then you get a guy who comes in and messes with the whole thing anyways. But they just can't wait. So I have zero faith that this 10-year plan, whatever it is, even though they don't announce what it is going to be any different than what they've done. They want it now. They want it all done now.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings us to the point of like, okay, so how is Marvel? Surely Marvel must have had this great blueprint and this great plan, and execute it right down the line, which is funny because they didn't.
Yeah,
there was a plan, but as we turned out, it was more of a guideline, if anything.
Yes.
And this kind of goes to one of my favorite quotes of all time. As Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And what that means to me is that you can have your plan, but if you can't stay calm when stuff starts to go wrong or doesn't start going according to plan, and stay calm enough to then know, okay, do we stay the course or now do we start improvising? And if we're going to improvise, how do we do it in a logical and calm manner instead of just throwing crap at the wall? That's the difference between Marvel and DC. And the big difference is Feige.
Mm-hmm.
Period. The end. Because what you need is someone who has a steady hand on the wheel. They aren't emotionally and artistically involved in every single thing, which was DC's biggest blunder in handing it over to Zack Snyder. Not that Zack Snyder isn't a great visual guy or that he can't produce a decent movie or anything like that, but you're giving him movies and you're giving him that creative control over the whole thing. It's too much, and he's going to be too involved in it, and it showed.
Yeah.
And probably, I mean, damn near probably made the guy's brain snap trying to deal with like Warner Brothers, like now, constantly on. I mean, good Lord, I would unplug my phone at that point. But you need someone who isn't involved in everything and that they can balance that big and little picture. And so, when there was this story of the New England Patriots when Bill Belichick took over and they started writing out like, okay, what's our ideal, quarterback? What's our ideal receiver? What's this and that? And the description they wrote pretty much matched Tom Brady to a T. It's the same as basically that sort of thing is what Feige does. And as far as we know, there's no clones of him roaming around. So unless you find another person who can kind of manage all of that and has the appreciation and can kind of balance all of those things, it's a very unique skill set. Because I mean, when they first started planning, they did not follow the plan. There was a lot of things that twists and turns, and I'll link this article in the show notes about how things had changed and what the Avengers were kind of supposed to look like and how it was supposed to come together. And they adapted and they improvised and they managed to kind of piece it together, which when we were talking about Battlestar Galactica, in some of our epic shows, and talking about how, wow, this is an amazing thing. And you listen to Ron Moore and he's like, yeah, we didn't know that when we originally wrote it. We just figured, okay, that's a cool thing. And then later they picked it up, or they figured it out as they went along. And it's remarkable how that can happen, but it does. Is just how well you manage to do that. And DC has done an absolute crap job at it, to say the least. Whereas Marvel has kind of rolled with the punches and been a little more calm and even-handed. Like they would have canceled Thor outright after Thor 2, even though, I mean, it's not as low grossing as everybody, says and all that, but it wasn't a great movie. But they wouldn't be like, oh, ditch Thor, we got to get rid of him. And instead, Marvel was like, okay, well, let's try a few different things with them. And then the character has evolved. And now, I mean, one of the more popular characters. I mean, Love and Thunder, not exactly an artistic achievement, but it was still a good flick, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got to balance all those things. You've got to be able to improvise. So until they demonstrate they can actually do that, and the fact is, I don't think that they can, because they can't figure out what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've got all this, they are very much just throwing crap at the wall and seeing what'll stick. And to me, that's just it's going to lead to more of the same.
Well, and again, I think part of it is a writing issue. I think they, Marvel has, there's been a few times, and we've talked about this, when, we feel like Marvel's coming up to a inflection point with its creativity. And I remember distinctly Guardians of the Galaxy being one of those for me, like watching the trailer and being like, okay, this looks like a completely off the wall sort of thing from what I'm used to from Marvel. And I don't think I'm going to like it. And then I watch it and it's like, you just can't help but fall in love with it. I mean, it's just, a great story, and it's lighthearted, and it's a very different feel and texture than Iron Man or Captain America or Thor or Black Panther or Ant-Man. You know what I mean? Like it has its own rhythm. And same with Ant-Man. Ant-Man is very different from any of the other, Marvel origin stories, because it's so comedy driven, and it's so, very lighthearted and slapstick and very just kind of in its own place, where, the seriousness of what's going on is there's a plot that's there, but it's not, the seriousness isn't driving it all the time, and like I look at Batman v Superman and just watching the trailer, again, haven't watched the movie, probably shouldn't make a comment about it, but I'll say this. When I watched the trailer, I got the same sort of dark, brooding Batman vibe from that trailer as I did from the Batman movies. And to me, it's like, maybe what DC's issue is they don't know how to play in different thematic zones with some of these characters. I mean, maybe Shazam is more like an Ant-Man because it's like a lighthearted sort of comedy thing. I don't know. I really haven't watched it. I have no idea. But I think that's part of their problem is, how do you get people to care about some of these characters and want to go see them in theaters and want to kind of invest themselves? It's like you've got to tell a good story and start building some trust so that people feel motivated to go see the next one. I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy because I had seen Captain America and Iron Man and Thor and said, okay, I'll give this a chance because they've been able to tell some really, compelling stories and some interesting origin stories, in the past. And that's the problem is I think rather than announce a 10-year plan, I think what Zaslav needs to do is just say, look, we're going to open up with some origin stories and we're going to see how those perform. And if they perform well, we'll continue down the path of the overall, universal storytelling that we're going to do. But if they can't nail those origin stories, forget it.
Well, the problem is the horse already out of the barn on that. They've already done origin stories. You've done your your Superman, you've done your Wonder Woman, you've done your Aquaman origin. You've kind of gotten a Flash-ish origin. You've got the origin stories there, and you're kind of stuck with that now. And I agree and I disagree when you say it's the writing. I agree. The writing in these has not been great. However, that goes back to who's the person in charge, because it's like going back to when people talked about Rian Johnson and the Last Jedi, like, oh, he took things off the rails and blah blah. It was like they're acting like he had complete, carte blanche and no one was checking in on him, like he's off on his own little, his own little compound somewhere making the movie, and that Patty, what's her face, Kathy Kennedy, never saw a thing until the premiere. Like, no, there's people signing off on this stuff. Like, you can go ahead and try and pass the buck, but anyone who has half a brain understands, like, no, JJ and Kathy knew what was going on, and then, things went sideways, and, well, we need a scapegoat. Same thing here. Like, yeah, the writing isn't good, but somebody's signing off on these scripts. And at a certain point, like, the writers are giving them what is being asked for. Like, the writers just don't get to say, well, this is the script, take it or leave it. It's like, no, here's your notes, go and write this. And they might be gritting their teeth, but they're also thinking, I'd really like to eat, so I'm going to get this. I'm going to do what I have to do to get the check, So I kind of think it sucks, but okay. And I've run into that as a graphic designer. Sometimes you do a project for someone and you're like, oh boy, this is going to look terrible. But hey, as long as the check clears, right. As long as you're happy, and I'm sure you've run across it too, where a client will ask you for something. You're like, I think that is really dumb, but okay, you go, you're paying the bills, man. You go, right, whatever, So that's to me, like, the weakness, it starts right at the top. Everything that is below that, it keeps going back up. Like, okay, what? Well, who signed off? And the person at the top. And the reason why it was so dark is, partly at the very beginning, Zack Snyder. That's just who that cat is. Like, if you watch any of his movies, okay, and it could work. That could totally work. If he was not directing the movies and he's just guiding and visual style, I think that could have actually been incredibly good. If DC was just like, you know what? No, we're going to some dark places. We are going to really get gritty, and we're going to do something totally different than what Marvel's doing. I think that would have been really interesting. The thing is, they backed into it, and then it scared them, and then they just panicked, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, but I also think too, the dark doesn't necessarily always mean good. I get it's edgier. I get it's, it maybe impacts people a certain way, but I really feel like at the end of the day, they failed at telling compelling character stories around these anchor, kind of these foundational characters that are meant to be, really the Justice League, and to do it in a way where I actually care about seeing them get together. Like when we would go to the Avengers movies, me and my boys were super excited about those movies. Like, what were they going to do? And what was the story going to be? And how are they going to, overcome whatever, going to see Infinity War and Endgame were like, the high points for us because of the fact that that was the Infinity War was the part one of the big payoff, and Endgame was the payoff. And it was one of those things where it's like, man, I cannot wait to see this. And they've got to be able to get to a place with that. But, unfortunately, like you said, I think the ship has sailed. I think stories have been told. There's going to be, like Wonder Woman, for example, right? Like, how do you start over with that? right now. You can't. You have to give it 10 years and then try to start doing something that's completely disconnected from what was done before. And they kind of, I mean, I hate to say it, in a lot of ways I think DC just kind of blew it.
Totally.
I think
totally
they can certainly wait some period of time. If anything, if the 10-year plan is just to wait 10 years and start, maybe that's the thing to do. You know what I mean? Because then at least, a lot of what Marvel's done will be kind of in the rearview mirror, and they can try to start and doing something different. But even still, I mean, if you get into kind of like a fantasy booking sort of situation, I mean, I'm kind of, part of me struggles a little bit with what could they come up with that would separate them from Marvel, in terms of the sort of, stakes that were set with a Thanos storyline. I mean, Thanos was such a great storyline and character because it wasn't just about the universe like collapsing upon itself. It was about a villain who had some very valid thoughts in a way that were very misdirected. Someone saying, how are we going to feed and support and continue to grow life in the way that we're growing when there's a finite amount of resources? That's a fair question to ask. That's not a madman. That's a fair question to ask. The madman is, well, I'm just going to go kill everyone, or kill half the people. That's when the madman comes into play. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. That's where he was like, beg your pardon? You're going to do what?
And then you get DC, where it's like all it is just a creature that just subjugates life to him. And okay, I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's like, but why do I care? You know what I mean? It's like I can connect with Thanos in a way that I can't connect with, I'm forgetting the villain's name, but you know who I'm talking about. Darkseid. Thank you. And we talked about this in our episode about Justice League, like the whole thing with anti-life and everything like that. Like, there's got to be a way to tell that effectively, but the way it was done, even in the Snyder cut that happened, was just so like, why do I care? I don't even understand this. Like, it makes
because
no
you don't
sense
care about the characters, so it's like, well, if this person dies, who cares?
Right.
I don't.
Right.
I don't give a damn.
But at least with the Infinity Stones, it's like you get the idea. Like, they each possess some form of power. You bring them all together. You are the wielder of power, and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but even that it's the stakes and it's the sacrifice.
Right.
And so when you have the sacrifice of Black Widow, when you have the sacrifice of Gamora, when you have these are characters that mean something, and over the series of again, this has taken a long time.
Yeah.
You've gotten to know these characters. They've become part of like what you go to see at the theater every few months.
Right.
DC didn't bother to do that. Again, they're trying to microwave it. They're not giving you a 5-course meal. They're giving you a Swanson, Salisbury steak dinner that's, a little warm on the outside, but it's still frozen on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not good.
Well, and you mentioned Black Widow, and I think she's an interesting character because we didn't come to care about her or care about her death the way that we did because she was in 4 first-run movies about her.
Mm-hmm.
We came to care about her because she was a bit player in a number of different films and was an Avenger. And that's how we came to care about her. Like, we didn't need 4 Black Widow movies for me to say, oh my God, this is a big deal.
But more than that, they all when they had her there, they were always looking for character moments.
Yes.
They were looking for ways to flesh out the character, and it doesn't take a whole, like you're saying, it doesn't take a whole movie.
No,
you can do it in a couple of lines, in a couple of looks, in a couple of scenes.
Right.
But you have to be intelligent about it,
right,
and level-headed, and you have to keep track of the pieces on the board. And they didn't have anybody doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just whatever you want to do. That's like when James Gunn was like, hey, I can go here and I can do anything. It's like, well, that's not exactly a great thing.
But
it was just look at AEW. And that was like the big selling point for them. Like, hey, wrestlers can do whatever they want. And now like a year later, we're like, yeah, maybe that isn't such a great idea. Maybe having a few fences and guidelines and guardrails is a good idea. I'm just saying.
Indeed.
I'm just thinking.
And just to add on to that, I mean, not to continue to harp on the writing thing, but don't you think that does come down to the writing, though. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It comes.
well,
yes,
you
it comes
can't tell
down to
me
the writing.
Feige's telling them to add
No.
Black Widow into Iron Man 2. I mean, he isn't micromanaging
actually,
at that level.
No, but there is a bit of that. Like the director is going to go and have to sign off on, hey, I want to introduce this character, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, and Feige is going to be giving a thumbs up and thumbs down on that. Or it might be a case of like, yeah, this character is going to make its debut in this movie. We're introducing Black Widow here because this is kind of what we're looking at down the road. Both of those can happen. You know, like there have been stories about saying I want to use this, I want to use that.
Yeah.
But there's no one doing it's the Flying friggin' Dutchman over at DC. There's no one making those decisions, or whoever is just making them very badly and very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't lay it all on at the foot of the writers, because ultimately in terms of a movie, a writer is as important as a screenwriter is. They also wield very little power in terms of like what they can actually leverage, unless you are like one of these top tier guys. And quite honestly, none of them are getting hired to write these movies. Like these are all written by, you know, people like who are kind of in this world. This is not like your heavy hitters are not writing these movies. And that's fine. I'm not saying that they're bad writers. It's just a whole different thing.
Well,
you know,
and I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to fault the writers, but I am trying to say that I feel like there is an element of the way you storytell, you know,
totally
that plays into
that
it.
is,
and I
that
think
is
some
going
of
to be
that
guided
falls
somehow
to them, but I agree with you. They are not making all of the decisions. 100%.
No,
100%.
And in some cases might not even be making all that many. Like it might almost be like, hey, here's what's going to happen. Write it. Like, oh, gee, okay, paint by numbers. All right. Hey, how much am I getting paid again? Sweet. Perfect.
All right.
Here you go. Do I really have to put my name on this?
Because I got to wonder who thought Wonder Woman 2
using
was
my
a good
pen
idea.
name. Well, Patty Jenkins, for one, because she was getting paid a butt ton of money. And the thing is, like, everybody
it's like a Weekend at Bernie's sort of take. You know what I mean?
Well, what was it? I just reread Mick Foley's biography and autobiography, excuse me, because he did write it. I forget who said it, but someone once told him every match is a good match until it starts. You know, every movie is a good movie. People are excited about it until you get in the middle of it. And then it's like, oh my gosh, we are making a train wreck. And that's when you start hearing things like, oh, well, we'll fix that in post. We'll fix that in post. And eventually everything is going to get fixed in post. And the people in post-production are like, by the way, nothing's getting fixed. Like, I can't shine this turd that much.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea of fantasy booking because I think I have a way. I think I have a way. Are you listening, Davey? Are you listening?
Speaketh, Uncle Todd.
I've got it.
And let the masses hear.
As much as I have taken to task and used this individual as a punching bag, I figure it's only fair to use one punching bag to fix another punching bag. We are going to go the Goldberg method, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to hitch our way, because right now, let's face it, you know, we're assuming that Henry Cavill will want to come back and do more of these movies. I don't know if he has a contract. We're assuming that oh my gosh, Wonder Woman actress. Why am I Gal
Gadot?
We're assuming that Gal wants to come back and do more. We don't know that. We're assuming that Jason Momoa wants to keep doing these movies, although I don't know. Jason seems like he's just playing with house money at this point and just could care less. I don't know. He really thinks he is Aquaman. Like, he is living the gimmick, man.
He thinks he's Khal Drogo.
We know that Ezra Miller is going bye-bye. So what do we have? And we know that you know, so Joker kind of exists in its own little thing, and we know that what's his face? Guy who plays Joker. Why am I forgetting his name?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Actor, Joaquin Phoenix. We know that he probably is not going to want to have anything to do with, like, he was willing to do kind of the art house version of a superhero movie, and that was about it. And then what else? What do we got? Lady Gaga. Well, maybe she'll be there. Although it still pisses me off that we had a bunch of Jokers, and now we've got two Harley Quinns, which are completely unnecessary, because Margot Robbie to me was so spectacular as Harley Quinn. I don't know why you'd want to muddy the waters, but hey, but nobody knows if she wants to come back and do any more of these movies, because they kind of seemed like they wanted to bury that movie, which was, I believe, one of her pet projects. We know we aren't getting any more Suicide Squad movies. So what are you going to hitch your wagon to here? Well, the one thing that they did right is they picked up the phone and they backed a dump truck full of money up to the home of Dwayne Johnson. Because if anybody is going to make you some money, it's Dwayne Johnson. Oh my gosh, this guy I'd be shocked if this movie tanked Black Adam. Because number one, when you get Dwayne Johnson, you get Dwayne Johnson's multimedia, social media machine behind it. And as we know, that's good for like 500 million right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Dwayne Johnson, you got Black Adam, who looks like a legit badass antagonist, I guess. I'm not going to go full on villain, because I think that eventually he's not going to be a villain, but he's being framed this way.
Yeah.
So here's what I think you do. And again, this is probably going to get shot out of the water by the way they made Black Adam. You go full on Goldberg. Like, you just feed Black Adam hero after hero after hero. Like, and you know what? If you have to rewrite the end of The Flash where Black Adam just comes in and just like puts his fist right through his head, and you CGI the fist coming out the back of Ezra Miller's skull. Because, I mean, quite honestly, there's a lot of people who would like to see that. Not wishing anything bad things in real life on him, but to see his character just get obliterated would be great. You could have him take out Flash outright. Just kill Flash, and then it makes sense to recast him. But then you have him defeating everybody else. Just movie after movie after movie of just Black Adam just laying waste to superheroes to finally get you to a point of another Justice League movie. Then you kind of might get something. However, that's a long way to go to keep Black Adam, because let's face it, that Black Adam, if this movie's a success, is your only card that you have, because everything else has sucked. So you've got to find a way around that. But that, to me, that is your tentpole, man. If Black Adam does some good business, you just set your sights on Dwayne, and you say, hey, how do you feel about being a producer for like all these movies now? Please save us. Please, pretty please save us. You know, that's the only thing I can see right now, because I just cannot see them undoing or undoing their bad habits.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fantasy book this, because it's such a mess at this point. They're in so deep, and you're going to be recasting, and you're going to be trying to straighten all this crap out. And
do you think that some, like, I'm just going to ask this question because this is a distinction between Marvel and DC a little bit. Do you think part of their problem is that between like Superman or someone like a Black Adam, Aquaman, like, because they're so much like gods, do you think that is working against them in kind of that making it relatable or making a grounded story? You know what I mean? Like, Iron Man is a man who is just insanely smart and who comes up with something that enhances his ability to fight and, deal with villains. Right. Captain America is the beneficiary of a super serum that makes him this superhuman. Hulk is a man who gets hit with gamma ray. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of them are like born with this, or they are.
Yeah, but none of those stories are grounded either. Like, none of those are grounded.
Well, one of the things with
whatsoever.
Iron Man, wait. So, but one of the things with Iron Man, though, that I think made it great and why it connected with people was because it was taking, like, similar to like Dark Knight or the Christian Bale Batman series. It took and made it basically explained how you could be this sort of superhero in a way that was somewhat grounded. You know what I mean? Like, I know the technology
you
for
have
Tony.
Flaws.
What's that?
Yeah, the character has flaws.
But I'm saying that it's grounded in technology that could be. You know what I mean? As opposed to saying, like with Black Adam, I am a god. You know what I mean? Which is something that I cannot relate to very easily.
No, but it's a spectacle. The biggest problem that they have,
or Superman for that matter, I mean,
is the fact that they don't spend enough time for you to actually care. Like, they turn these characters that have incredible. They made Superman boring. Like, how do you make a man who can fly boring?
I know.
Like, how do you take a character who has all these gadgets and everything and make them boring? Like, how do you make a dude who talks to fish boring? Like, how in the hell do you manage to do that? Like, because you don't spend any time to actually get into who that person is.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. And I don't think that's the case. I think it just comes down to they are trying so hard to be Marvel that they're just winding up as the off-brand. They are the Hydrox to their Oreo. They are not, and they ain't gonna get there. That's why I say, like, at least if they'd embraced like Zack Snyder and been like, yeah, we're gonna go gritty, we're gonna do this, okay, at least it's different. It makes you stand out. It makes you different rather than, hey, we're doing our thing with superheroes too, and then the comparison is a direct one for one. You're trying to do the exact same thing Marvel is. That's why I thought Tale of Tape was so interesting. It's like you're trying to do what Marvel is doing and you are half as successful.
I have a thought.
It's pathetic.
I have a thought.
But at least if you do your own thing, oh, okay, well, I don't know if I like this, or I don't know if this is great, but okay, at least it's different.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, sir?
I mean, since we're talking fantasy booking, I mean, I think and this is just off the cuff, but I think one way they could do something somewhat interesting that does kind of set up a kind of an overarching arc for the universe is and let's just set aside the fact that we have all the background we have right now with Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman and so forth. But as we're talking about how they're all gods and things like that, what I'm wondering would be an interesting story is if they were to do something where they tell a story about how in the past there were, gods that would fight with one another, and the one that was more evil was able to kind of defeat the one that was more good, but the one that was good could subdivide or separate himself out into these different, characteristics, let's say, and in essence becoming things like Superman or Wonder Woman or Aquaman. Do you think that would be an interesting way to kind of tell those origin stories, to kind of bring them, all being kind of from the same being of sorts, but yet having these sort of like that? To me is the only way that, not the only way, but one of the ways that you could make it somewhat interesting. You know what I mean? Like there's some long-term stakes to the whole thing. And of course, there's something about the villain, letting time pass and them kind of manifesting their powers and that sort of thing, but coming together essentially to kind of ultimately face off again. And this time, defeating him.
So you want to basically turn the DC universe into Voltron? Okay, I'm good with that.
Well, okay, but here's the thing: is not. I mean, the Infinity Gauntlet is Voltron as well, right?
Well,
I mean, you're subdividing powers essentially into the fact that you put them together and you can be all powerful.
Well, I know. I was being cute there, but I mean,
cute.
It's
I'm trying with their material, and I'm realizing how hard this must be for them.
Well, I get it, and no matter what you're doing, it's something that Marvel's already done, or they're currently doing, and everything that you're, and it's not that it's bad. It's just that now you're being compared directly to Marvel.
Yeah,
you got to just get off of that train, but the problem is that ain't going to happen. Just like when you said, oh, well, maybe the 10-year plan is they're just going to let it all sit for 10 years. That ain't going to happen because, Discovery wants their DC
their
money.
Pound of flesh.
They are coming in with their fur coat and the big hat, and their pimp hand is strong, and they want their money. They invested in this and they want it, and they ain't waiting a decade.
Coming in hot.
So the thing is, the best thing that they could do is go a complete other direction. The movies they've had success with lately are the movies like Joker, like The Batman. Okay, so now, maybe do the art house thing. Maybe you're going to, maybe be you're going to, instead of doing all these interconnected, do the graphic novel version of these movies. Like, give us those. And all these standalones, or, maybe say, hey, it's a trilogy of this storyline, and maybe it will involve this, but stop pretending it's all going to be connected. Just ditch that. Just make some good movies and tell some good stories without the pressure of saying, oh, well, it's all going to come together. And no, just stop, because it's being done, and it's being done 10 times better than you've done it and can do it, because you're just going to be copying. So just stop playing the game, play a different game. That's my fantasy booking, I guess. If the Goldberg thing doesn't work, which I think it's even a crap idea, and I came up with it, just stop playing the game, play a different game. That's my advice.
And another thing.
What have you got for and another thing?
Well, it's kind of a repeat off of something you've already talked about.
Yes.
Going back. But in our Apple TV Plus viewing habits, my wife and I started watching For All Mankind at the recommendation of Uncle Todd.
Good man.
And,
good man.
Once again, Uncle Todd does not steer us wrong. This was a solid outing, and just really an enjoyable 3 seasons that we just kind of blew through. Really enjoyed, kind of the different, the forking of reality, if you will, the impact of history. I'm really happy to see that they didn't do something where it was just, the Russians land on the moon and, a lot of our reality kind of plays out the way it does with them just having landed on the moon. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's legitimate changes to history that happen because of this, and they make sense.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I love the fact that they basically explain away the fact that Ted Kennedy does not end up having the scandal of Chappaquiddick because he goes back to the Capitol to somehow, right the ship of what his brother started with the space program.
Yeah.
And turns into a one-term president because of that, which leads to Reagan becoming a president in 76 instead of 80 and going all the way through to 84. And then you have Gary Hart, who's president. Sorry if I'm spoiling this for everyone, but do go watch the show. It is really well done. It's really about what happens if the space program were to continue in kind of an accelerated pace in step with the Russians, and all kind of fueled by the fact that America was not the first to land on the moon. I really have enjoyed it. It has been really good. I love the fact they jump a decade every season and what they're showing with the characters every season through that process. So overall, just giving my recommendation, but have to give credit where credit is due. Uncle Todd was the originator, and he did not steer us wrong. This was a quality series. Do check it out, For All Mankind on Apple TV Plus.
Yes, indeed, and I cannot emphasize this enough. It is a fantastic Ronald D. Moore, BSG reimagining. Showrunner and just a maestro of television and again building characters.
Great stories.
It is
great stories.
They just do so good building characters, and the thing is, it's so bingeable because much like Battlestar Galactica, it'll end a show and literally had me standing up from my couch going, no, that can't be how you end that.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, well now I'm in for another show because you can't drop me into that. Like that couldn't have just happened. And then you just get so into it. But again, the set is this alternate, history, but it is about the characters, and you become really involved and invested in the characters. And it's just done so well.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I had the chance to go see one Henry Rollins, ladies and gentlemen, on his latest speaking tour, or his talking show tour, as he likes to call it, when he swung through Portland, Maine, a couple weeks ago. And as always, fantastic. Angry Hank. Of course, if you don't know who Henry Rollins is, he is the former lead singer of Black Flag, the punk band. He was also the lead singer of Rollins Band. He is a Grammy Award winner for his audiobook for his book Get in the Van, and is a prolific writer and traveler, and he is a storyteller par excellence. And when he came to Portland, he essentially came out, said hello to the crowd, and then just went for like 2 hours straight. It was amazing. And this is a man who is now on the other side of 60 and just just so funny and self-deprecating, and yet also so incredibly intelligent and just quick and just, oh my gosh, great. However, first recommendation is if Henry Rollins is coming to your town, get tickets. It is well worth it. You will not regret going to that show. However, in doing all of the renovational work, getting into our new house, I was consuming podcasts like you wouldn't believe, because I was just painting for 8 hours straight. So I needed copious amounts of content, caught up on a lot of podcasts that I've kind of neglected over the past few months. One that I discovered, though, after going to see Henry was the Henry and Heidi podcast, which is very interesting. It's been a couple of years since there's been any new episodes, and it was a bi-monthly podcast. So it was like every other month one of these would come out. Very odd, but it's well worth it, because essentially it's Henry Rollins telling stories with his not assistant. The way he puts it is that she is the showrunner for his life, Heidi May, and these two have worked together for over 20 years. And oh my gosh, the relationship between these two is so great. It's like it's like one of those great friendships that's also antagonistic, and all kinds of inside jokes and just all these things going on. It's so great. But they would just talk about different stories from Henry's life and different people, and they range from like 30-ish minutes to about 50 minutes, I think, for the upper range. They're very good. They're very like low tech. Like, I think the sound effects they're using are literally played on a stereo, and they just put a mic in front of that, and then they bring the mic away, and it is gloriously kind of low tech. It's wonderful. And it is a lot of fun. So if you want to find those, I'll put a link to henryrollins.com, and there's a whole bunch of them in the right sidebar. However, you can also find them on Apple podcasts, streaming pretty much everywhere. You'll find them. They're not making any more, but if Henry happens to be listening, please, in the name of all that's holy, give us more Henry and Heidi podcasts, because they are a hoot. Oh my gosh. It was exactly what I needed as I was painting at like 10:30 at night, all alone in this house, just like wondering if I was ever going to finish, and having Henry and Heidi just bantering back and forth was exactly what I needed.
Nice.
So
nice.
My recommendation to all of you fine folks out there in podcast land.
Very nice.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. It's time for us to wrap up this traveling medicine show of a podcast.
Didn't we just start?
As we shoulder our snake oil to you. Now it's time for us to get the hell out of here ahead of the law.
We need a monorail.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe I didn't connect the dots on that, but you're so right. It is. It is exactly what it is. Man. But anyways, thank you for listening. We do certainly appreciate all of you out there, all the members of the Free Range Idiocy congregation. Mm-hmm. You are well appreciated by myself and the man they call Tim. Mm-hmm. Probably by me a little bit more, honestly. You don't know all the stuff that this guy says about you behind your back when the microphones are off. He comes across as nice on this show, but when the microphones are off, okay, he's nicer then, and I'm the jerk. That's really how it works. I mean, I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you, folks. We've known each other for so long. But thank you very much for tuning in. You can find all of our episodes at freerangeidiocy.com. You can also find us on streaming services everywhere, from Apple Podcasts to Samsung Podcasts, Podcasts to Google Podcasts, all of them in between. And if you don't find us, then, well, you need to get a better podcast service. That's just how it goes. We are on the social medias as well. We are on Facebook and Instagram. We were on Twitter, but they're still being jerks and not unlocking our account. So I guess that's become an archive. Yeah, honestly, I haven't harangued them much lately. I was far too busy trying to get moved into my house. So I'm probably going to pick that up tomorrow now that I have a little bit of breathing room. I need a new hobby. Boy. Yeah. Maybe I can contact Elon Musk, and he has some pull over there. But you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Both of those are at Free Range Idiocy. Hey, go ahead and throw us a follow on Twitter, and maybe if we break up over 100, they'll actually do something about it. My name is Kanye West. They'd be all over this. That's all I know. And probably rightfully so. Kanye makes him a lot more money than we do, so I guess I can understand that. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, or you have something that you'd like for us to yammer about and for the words to fly out of our mouth holes and towards the microphone about, you can send those to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com, and he will get right back to you, and you might hear us talk about something on the air that you suggested. And in that case, I don't know if you should be proud or just dismayed with yourself that this is what your life has become, because quite honestly, that's how I feel sometimes. But anyways, right now it's about time for me to turn this over, because obviously my brain is starting to dribble out my ear. But not before I ask the second most important question ever devised and uttered by humankind. The first, of course, being what is hip. The second being, what the hell did we learn this episode?
We have learned the following, my friend.
I always love it when you have a list. I am a fan of a good list.
I do try.
Good.
We have learned the man they call Tim, he's trying to scooter around the greater Chicagoland area, but apparently is having
grown-ass man on a scooter. Get on a bike at least. Pedal a couple of them deviled eggs off, would you? Get on your scooter. Even Patrick doesn't ride a scooter.
Okay, here's the kicker. I do have a bell. I have a bell on this thing. I have a bell.
Patrick, you got a scooter? Get out. No, I'm serious. Get out. Where the... Son of a bitch. He just rode the scooter right out in the hallway.
How long is his internship, by the way?
I don't know. I'm still not paying him, so...
Perpetual.
He is set up in the... You remember how I told you, I had him set up in the closet because he got booted out of his apartment? Mm-hmm. He's like Harry Potter in there now. He's living under the stairs. He's got a hot plate in there. I mean, he's living large. Like, I don't think we're ever... Like, if we ever move the headquarters out of this office space... Mm-hmm. I think the next people are going to have to inherit Patrick. I don't think he's leaving. He's way too comfy in there. Yeah. He's like a weevil in a I don't know, whatever weevils do. Weevils do whatever their weevils do.
We've also learned that Uncle Todd apparently can use the Force with the Apple TV remote and send it flying across the room with just a shake of the wrist. So.
Well, if I really had the Force, I'd bring it back.
We have learned that the Mandalorian Season 3 and Black Panther Wakanda Forever look like solid outings on both fronts, and we are looking forward to it. We are stoked. There will be a real jabroni for Mandalorian. There will not for Black Panther.
Wakanda Forever!
Thank you. We've also learned Marvel knows what they're doing. DC, not so much.
No,
I mean, really? What else is there to say?
Alex, I'll take the blindingly obvious for 500.
We've also learned apparently you can just say you have a 10-year plan, and that's something that stockholders put faith in, I guess.
Well, we live in an age where someone's claiming that they can declassify documents just by thinking about them, so it all kind of fits when you put it in that context. We're riding the grease skids to hell. We're riding the grease skids to hell. And you know what? I'm at least enjoying the scenery. Let me tell you. If you have the right perspective, all this stuff is funny as hell, I'll tell you. Woo, doggy.
We've also learned Uncle Todd correctly is looking at the top of the pyramid when it comes to responsibility about these franchises. Man, they called him, I don't know, he's hung up on the writing for some reason. I don't know why, but...
Davey Zaslav, yes,
suspect. Now, if you have about $110 in your pocket, I'll take it.
Retainer. And that's the new Batman. That's actually, I want a Chucky Batman crossover. That's what I want.
It is ironic Chucky was Batman. So
I would love if we could get Batman, if we got Batfleck, but it's actually Chucky being Batman, who somehow, like, Chucky hit the lotto.
I heretofore say you should drop your weapons.
No. Actually, check this out. All right, stop the music. Check this out. What if Chucky from Good Will Hunting hit the lottery?
Yep.
And what if he hit Powerball?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. what would Chucky do? Chucky would totally become Batman, but he would become like the shabbiest, most jacked up Batman ever. Like he would have a Batmobile be spray painted black.
He'd have a bed sheet as a cape.
Wouldn't you love to see like him and Morgan and then like Will would come in and be his butler, or you know, like just ragging on him the whole time.
Will would be the brains behind the entire operation.
Well, that is Alfred. That is Alfred, kind of.
God.
I mean, oh man, now somebody get Davey on the phone. I've got an idea. And you know what? It's better than anything they've come up with. All right, hit the music.
Oh, dear Lord. All right, I got to wrap this up. Good God.
I got a million ideas. They're all horrible, but they're coming.
You do. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for putting us well over 4,100 downloads on the Podbean. We appreciate it. Especially appreciate the 36 download performance of our Tombstone episode, much above and beyond what we were expecting, and we very much appreciate it. The Tom Cruise Top Gun episode is still pulling in a few here and there, so at least we have that as a tentpole.
Xenu alien powers, man. I'm telling you.
Well, all that being said, as we like.
Oh, by the way, the Tom Cruise content for the week. Tom took a walk this week.
That's at least good for 2.5 downloads.
Stubbed his toe. That's your Tom Cruise moment of the week,
ladies and gentlemen. All right. Well, we thank you very much again, and as we like to close things out, be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another, and well. The man they call Tim just got himself a scooter and needs to save a few shekels. Would you please hit the lights on the way out?
That's right, I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
I might say I'm in a hurry. Cycle the damn near lot faster. Is this your first day?
Doctor, thank the gods you're here. The president needs your help.
Move. Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
I'm your huckleberry.
That actually would be really good. So Chucky is Batman and Morgan is Robin. And he makes
that. Yeah, there you go.
He makes Morgan ride a scooter. That would be
you have it.
Like right next to the Batmobile.
You're on a roll. You're on a roll, my friend.
Tell me you wouldn't watch that movie.
I would watch that. That would be hysterical.
I would watch the spit out of that movie. I'm telling you right now. Maybe this is
the thing. They need to turn Batman into more of a comedy character than a dark, brooding, depressed individual.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Chucky wasn't anything. Chucky was pretty depressed, I think.
Well, Chucky was wise.
Really?
He told Will that he should leave.
Okay, fine. Yeah, we had that one moment of clarity when I think he was sober. Okay, fine. We'll give him that.
No, I think he was drinking a beer when he told him that. So
actually, you are true. It was.
Now get the hell out of here!